Hello, everyone. I want to tell you a really amazing story. Just 5 months ago, I couldn't say even one full English sentence. Even saying how are you was hard for me. I felt confused, stuck, and honestly, I felt a little like giving up. But today, I can speak English clearly, with confidence, and naturally. And I want to show you exactly how I did it. And no, I didn't spend a lot of money on expensive classes. I didn't go to a country where people speak English. I didn't waste time on boring grammar books. This story is not just about me. If you have ever felt frustrated with English, this could be your story too. I was in the same place as you are now, but I changed, and you can change too. Let's go back to the start. Chapter 1. The Wake-Up Call. I still remember the day everything changed for me. It was just a normal afternoon. I was sitting in my room, looking at things on my phone. Suddenly, a video appeared on YouTube. It was a young man speaking English very well and with a lot of confidence. He wasn't from America or the UK. He looked like someone from my own country. But the way he spoke made me stop and listen carefully. I couldn't believe how good his English was. I was really surprised. I also felt something else. I felt a little bit ashamed. At that time, I had been trying to learn English for many years. I studied it in school. I read English books. I watched English movies. But when someone asked me a simple question like, "How are you?" I would get nervous. I would forget all the English words I knew. My heart would beat fast. I wouldn't open my mouth. I was scared to speak. I didn't feel confident at all. In that day, after watching the video, I finally asked myself, why can he speak so well, but I can't? That question stayed in my head. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I started to feel angry, not at him, but at myself. I knew I had wasted many years just learning grammar rules. I had memorized many words, but I never used them. I only studied English like it was a school subject, not like a real language that people use. I realized I needed to change how I was learning. Later that evening, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, "That's it. No more waiting. No more making excuses. It's time to really learn English." That was my wake-up call. I knew it would be hard. I knew it would take time, but I also knew I could do it if I tried hard every day. That night, I opened a notebook and wrote a promise to myself. In 6 months, I will speak English with confidence. I will not be perfect, but I will be strong. I will practice every day. I will not give up. I wrote this with all my heart. I didn't know exactly how I would do it yet, but I knew I had to try my best. The next day, I deleted all the games and useless apps from my phone. I started following YouTube channels that teach English. I changed the language on my phone and computer to English. I started listening to English songs and podcasts. I wanted to be surrounded by English all day long. I knew I had to make English a part of my everyday life. At first, it was difficult. I didn't understand many words. I had to stop and watch videos again many times. Sometimes I felt tired, but I remembered my promise. I told myself every day, this is your chance, don't waste it. That first week was not easy, but it was powerful. I started to believe that I could really change. I started to believe that anyone could learn English, even me. That was the beginning of my journey. The wake-up call changed my life. It gave me a new goal. It gave me hope. I was ready to start. I was ready to learn English, not just with my brain, but with my heart. Chapter 2. The Dream That Failed. Before I started learning English the right way, I had a big dream. I wanted a better job. I wanted to travel to different countries and talk to people from all over the world. And I knew that English was the key to all of that. So, I made a plan. I bought English books. I downloaded apps to learn grammar. I joined a local English class. I told myself, this time, I will really do it. For a few weeks, I was very serious. I studied hard. I read grammar rules every day. I tried to remember difficult words. I even made flashcards. But something didn't feel right. Even though I was studying, my English wasn't getting better. I still couldn't speak English clearly. I was still scared to open my mouth and talk. I could write a little bit, but I couldn't speak at all. I didn't feel confident. One day in my English class, the teacher asked me to speak in front of everyone. My hands started to shake. My mind went completely blank. I couldn't even say one full sentence. My classmates just looked at me, waiting. But I just stood there, not saying anything. After the class, I felt so embarrassed. I thought, why am I still so bad at English? What am I doing wrong? That night, I sat alone in my room. I looked at all the English books on my desk. I looked at my flashcards, my notes, my study plan, and I felt really sad. I had worked so hard, but I still couldn't speak. My dream felt so far away. I started to think that maybe I would never learn English. Maybe it just wasn't for me. Maybe I should just give up. But deep down, a small voice said, don't give up. You just need to change the way you learn. That voice gave me a little bit of hope. I understood something important. The way I was learning before wasn't working. I was focusing too much on grammar rules and trying to memorize everything. I wasn't using English in real life. I wasn't listening or speaking enough. That's why I wasn't getting better. I realized that I needed a new dream. Not just to study English, but to actually use English. I wanted to think in English, not just translate from my own language. I wanted to feel free when I spoke, not scared. That failure in the classroom was painful, but it taught me something important. It showed me what not to do. It opened my eyes to a new way. From that day on, I decided to stop learning English the old way. I would learn English the way children learn, by listening, repeating, and speaking every day. My dream didn't really fail. It just changed. And now, I was ready to follow a new dream. A dream where I could speak English with joy, with confidence, and with freedom. Chapter 3. A Promise to Myself. After I couldn't speak in class, I felt really down, but I didn't want to stay feeling like that. I knew I had to change things. I had to stop being sad and start doing something real. That evening, I went for a walk by myself. I didn't take my phone with me. I just walked and thought. I looked up at the sky and told myself, "You are not weak. You are just learning." I knew I needed a new plan, a real plan that I could follow. But before I made the plan, I needed something even stronger, a promise to myself. I went home, sat at my desk, and opened a new notebook. On the first page, I wrote in big letters, "This is the start of my new English life." Then, I wrote a promise to myself. I said, "I will practice English every day for 6 months. I will not only focus on grammar. I will listen, speak, read, and write every day. I will not be afraid to make mistakes. I will not stop, even if it gets hard." Writing those words felt powerful. It felt like making an agreement, but only with myself. I also wrote down a list of reasons why I wanted to speak English. I wanted to get a better job and talk to people from other countries. I wanted to help my family and feel proud of myself. These reasons were important to me. They gave me energy and helped me remember why I started in the first place. Then, I made a plan that was simple and clear. Every day, I would spend 1 hour listening to English. This could be podcasts, stories, or YouTube videos. First, I would listen with subtitles, and then without them. I would also try to repeat what I heard. I called this shadowing. I would speak along with the video. At first, it was hard. My tongue felt slow. I felt shy even when I was alone, but I didn't stop. I also promised myself to talk to myself in English every day. While I was brushing my teeth, I would say things like, "Today is Monday. I will go to work. I feel tired but happy." When I walked to the bus stop, I would describe what I saw in English. "I see a red car. The man is wearing a blue shirt." These small sentences helped me start thinking in English. I didn't need a teacher, I just needed practice. To keep my promise, I put a calendar on my wall. Every day that I practiced, I marked an X in red, and I didn't want to break the chain of X's. It made me feel strong. Every red X was proof that I was serious about my promise. Sometimes I felt tired. Sometimes I didn't want to practice, but I remembered my promise. I remembered the boy who couldn't speak in class. I didn't want to be that boy again. I wanted to be the person who tried, who failed, but who kept going. This promise wasn't just about learning English. It was about believing in myself. It was about becoming a new person, someone who never gives up. Every word I learned, every sentence I said was a small step forward. And with each step, I got a little bit closer to my goal. Chapter 4. The First 15 Days. The first 2 weeks of my new English learning adventure weren't easy, but they were really strong and important. Every day, I did what I planned. I listened to one English video or podcast for 1 hour.
At first, I picked easy things to listen to, like kids' stories, short English conversations, and channels that teach English. I used subtitles in the beginning. When I started to understand better, I turned them off. This helped my listening skills improve fast. I also practiced speaking by shadowing. This means I listened to the speaker and repeated what they said at the same time. I tried to make my voice, tone, and speed sound like theirs. At first, it felt weird. I made a lot of mistakes, but every time I repeated, I got a little better. I could feel my mouth getting used to the new sounds of English. I talked to myself in English, too. In the morning, I would say things like, "I am brushing my teeth now. I am getting ready for work." At night, I would say, "I studied English today. I feel proud." These little talks helped me become more confident. No one laughed at me because no one could hear me. I was free to try, free to make mistakes, and free to get better. On day 5, I made a video of myself speaking English. I talked for 2 minutes about my day. I said, "Today, I went to the office. I answered emails. I ate lunch with my friend. I made many grammar mistakes, but I was happy. I was speaking real English." I watched the video and smiled because I knew I was improving. By day 10, I even started to dream in English. One night, in my dream, I saw myself speaking to a tourist in English. When I woke up, I laughed. It felt strange but also really exciting. I thought, if my brain is dreaming in English, then something is really working. On day 12, I had a tough day. I felt really tired. I didn't want to study at all. I almost skipped my English practice. But then I looked at all the red X marks on my calendar. I didn't want to break that chain of X's. So, I listened to a short English story and repeated it. I only practiced for 20 minutes, but I still did something. I was proud of myself for not stopping. By the end of the first 15 days, I had made it a habit. English became a part of my daily routine. I didn't need to force myself to study anymore. I started to actually enjoy the process. I wanted to learn even more. I wasn't the person who always waited anymore. Now, I was someone who took action. The first 15 days taught me something really important. Doing small things every day can lead to big changes. I wasn't perfect, but I was definitely better than before. I felt stronger. I was becoming the English speaker I had always dreamed of being. Little by little, word by word, I was on my way. Chapter 5. Speaking Without Fear. After practicing every day for 15 days, I felt a small change inside me. My English still wasn't perfect, but something bigger was changing: my fear of speaking. Before, I was always so scared to speak English. I worried that people would laugh at me. I worried that I would say something wrong. But now, I was speaking every day, even if it was just to myself. That fear was slowly getting smaller and smaller. One morning, I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself. I said, "Good morning. How are you today?" Then I smiled and answered, "I'm fine. I feel ready to speak English today." It felt a little silly, but it helped me feel more comfortable with my own voice. I started to speak louder and more clearly. I even started to like the sound of my own English. Then, I took the next step. I went to a local tea shop where tourists sometimes came. I saw a man sitting alone with a map. I felt my heart beat faster. I thought, should I try to speak to him? For a moment, I wanted to just run away. But then I remembered my promise. I remembered my goal. So, I walked up to him and said, "Hello, are you visiting here?" He looked at me, smiled, and said, "Yes, it's my first time in your country." I felt my hands shaking a little, but I smiled back and asked another question. We talked for about 3 minutes. I made some mistakes, but I didn't stop. I didn't run away. I spoke. That day really changed me. I felt strong and brave. I didn't care about being perfect anymore. I just cared about trying. And every time I tried, I became a little bit better. Speaking without fear doesn't mean you're never afraid. It means you speak even when you are afraid. I started to look for more chances to speak English. I joined an English-speaking group online. The people there were friendly and kind. At first, I mostly just listened, but then I slowly started to speak. "Hello, my name is Nadi," I said in one meeting. "I am learning English every day." People smiled and said, "Nice to meet you." That small welcome gave me a lot of confidence. Every day, I told myself, making mistakes is okay. Don't be afraid. This simple sentence helped me keep going. I made speaking English a normal part of my life. I even asked for directions in English at work just to practice. I read news out loud in the morning. I even recorded myself reading stories and then listened to them again. I wasn't afraid to hear my own voice anymore. The more I spoke, the less fear I felt. It didn't happen overnight. But step by step, I learned something very important. Confidence comes from taking action. The more you speak, the stronger you feel. The stronger you feel, the more you want to speak. It becomes a wonderful cycle. By the end of that month, I felt like a different person. So, I listened to a short English story and repeated it. I spoke with my heart. I made many mistakes, yes, but I also made a lot of progress. My voice became my teacher, and I was proud of myself. Chapter 6. Learning to Think in English. One day, while walking home from work, I realized something special. I was thinking in English. I looked up at the sky and said in my mind, "The clouds are so white today." I didn't translate it from my own language. The thought just came in English, and it came quickly. It really surprised me. I stopped walking and smiled. "Wow," I said to myself. "This is really working." Thinking in English wasn't my main goal at first. In the beginning, I just wanted to be able to speak. But now, after many days of listening, reading, and speaking, my brain was changing. It was starting to use English without having to wait and translate. This felt like magic. Before this, I always translated in my head. If I wanted to say, "I am hungry," I would first say it in my own language and then change it into English. That took time and made me speak slowly. But now, simple thoughts just came directly in English. "I need to eat. I will go home now. Tomorrow is Sunday." These little thoughts came naturally. I decided to train my brain even more. I created small tasks for myself every day. While I was cooking, I would name everything in English. "This is a spoon. This is rice. I am cooking rice now." When I walked outside, I would describe the things around me in English. "A boy is playing, the sun is hot, the bus is late." I didn't need paper or a book. I just needed to look around and speak in my mind. When I walked outside, I would describe the things around me in English. "I need to eat. I will go home now. Tomorrow is Sunday." These little thoughts came naturally. I made a decision to further exercise my brain. To do this, I came up with small daily activities. For example, while I was cooking, I would name everything I saw in English. "This is a spoon. This is rice. I am cooking rice now." When I went outside for a walk, I would describe the things around me. "A boy is playing, the sun is hot, the bus is late." I just needed to look and talk in my head. At work, I used English to plan my day. Check email, print report, call customer. I wrote my to-do list in English. It was simple, but it helped me. I started to use English in messages to myself. My brain started to think English was normal. It was not something special anymore. That helped me learn faster. Sometimes I even tried to dream in English. Before bed, I listened to English stories. I told myself a story in English to sleep. One night, I dreamed I was talking to a teacher in English. I didn't understand everything in the dream, but I was happy. It meant my brain was learning even in sleep. The more I thought in English, the easier it became. Listening got faster. Speaking felt more natural. I didn't need to stop and think all the time. It was like learning to ride a bike. At first, you fall and feel slow, but with practice, you ride smoothly. English started to feel like that. I learned something important. Learning English is not just about words. It's about changing how you think. If you can think in English, you can speak it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to practice until it feels normal. Now, I was learning with all my senses. With my ears, eyes, voice, and thoughts. I was becoming someone new. Not just someone who studies English, but someone who lives with English. Every day was a small step forward and I loved the path I was on. Chapter 7. Thinking in English. I wanted to speak English like I was just talking, not thinking too much. I started with easy sentences. I saw a cat, so I said, "The cat is walking." I was alone, but I still talked. It felt strange at first. But soon, it became fun. I made a game from it. I looked at things and named them in English. Chair, window, coffee. Then I added actions. The man is drinking coffee, the child is jumping. I also talked about myself. I'm walking to the bus stop. I feel sleepy. These were my speaking exercises. I didn't need a teacher. I just used my day. In my mind, I spoke like I was with a friend. I imagined the answers too. How are you? I'm good, thank you. It was like play. But it made me ready for real talk. When I met real people, I was not afraid because I had already practiced in my head. Chapter 8. The Power of Stories. One day, I watched a video on YouTube. Someone said, to learn English fast, listen to stories. That sentence stayed in my head. I already liked reading and listening. But I only listened to grammar lessons. I didn't try full stories before. So, I searched for simple English stories. I found a story about a boy and a dog. It was short and easy to understand. It also had a lot of emotion. I listened to it 3 times. The first time, I understood only a little. The second time, I understood more. The third time, I understood everything. I smiled and felt happy. I was learning and having fun. After that, I listened to stories every day. In the morning, I listened while brushing my teeth. At night, I read stories before sleeping. Some stories made me laugh. Some stories made me think. Some stories even made me cry. Stories helped me remember words. If I see a word in a grammar book, I forget it. But if I see the word in a story, I remember it. Because the story has feeling and pictures. For example, I read a story about a ship in a storm. I could feel the wind and the rain. That helped me remember the word storm. Stories also showed me real grammar. I didn't just learn rules. I saw how grammar worked in real sentences. That made learning easier. Sometimes I read the same story many times. Each time, I found something new. I read out loud like a storyteller. I changed my voice for different characters. It was fun and helped me speak better. Later, I started to write my own stories. At first, they were very simple. A boy walks to school. He sees a dog. The dog is hungry. Then, I wrote longer and better stories. Writing helped me think in English. It helped me use new words. I felt proud of my stories. Stories gave me a reason to use English. They showed me that English is not just for tests. English is for life, for dreams, and for emotions. Now, when I feel tired, I don't open a textbook. I listen to a good story. A story about bravery or kindness. It makes me feel better. And it helps me learn faster. So I tell everyone, read and listen to stories. Let stories teach you. You will grow, and your English will grow too. Chapter 10. Mistakes I Stopped Making. I used to struggle a lot when I started learning English. I felt nervous and unsure of myself. I didn't know the best way to learn at first. But with time, I figured it out through trial and error. I used to think grammar had to be perfect. That belief held me back from speaking freely. I kept wondering if my verbs were correct. That doubt slowed me down every time I spoke. But then I realized expressing ideas was more important. Even native speakers make mistakes. Now I focus on sharing my thoughts. And I fix grammar along the way. At first, I only used textbooks to study. But they didn't help me speak naturally. I learned that real English comes from real life. So I added videos, conversations, and listening practice. I also used to memorize too many words at once. I ended up forgetting most of them. Now I focus on a few words a day. And I use them in real sentences. I write them, speak them, and repeat them aloud. That's how they stick in my memory. Another big mistake was fearing mistakes. I stayed silent just to avoid being wrong. But now I know that mistakes help me grow. Each one teaches me something new. These days, I thank my mistakes. They are proof that I'm learning. I also used to compare myself with others. That made me feel small and discouraged. Now I only compare myself with my past self. If I improve even a little, that's success. Sometimes I rushed to become fluent too fast. I wanted results overnight. But I learned that progress takes time. Small daily efforts add up. I also stopped waiting for the perfect time to study. Now I learn whenever I can, even for 5 minutes. Taking action changed everything. No more waiting, I just begin. Now I speak with more confidence. I know I'm improving step by step. To every learner out there, don't give up. It's okay to be slow. Just keep going. Mistakes are part of the journey. They make you stronger, not weaker. This is how you grow. This is how you become a real English speaker. Chapter 11. Real Conversations, Real Progress. One day, something important hit me. I realized I was missing a key part of learning. I knew many words and wrote lots of sentences. I watched videos and listened to English. But still, something wasn't right. I wasn't really talking with anyone. I wanted to speak, but fear stopped me. I didn't know how to begin. Then I told myself, it's time to speak with people. Talking to myself wasn't enough anymore. I started looking for chances to talk. It wasn't easy at first. My heart raced and I felt nervous. But I knew speaking was the only way to improve. I joined a free online speaking group. People from all over the world came together. Some were beginners like me, others spoke fast. But we all shared one goal: to practice English. In my first session, I barely spoke. I said just 2 or 3 sentences. Hello, my name is Nadi. I'm from Indonesia. I want to practice English. My voice trembled, but I was proud. It was a big step forward. The next time, I said a bit more. I talked about the weather and my lunch. I started to feel more at ease. I focused less on grammar, more on meaning. Real conversations taught me natural speech. I heard real expressions like gonna and wanna. I also learned to reply quickly. Even if I made mistakes, people were kind. We corrected each other gently. That gave me the courage to keep going. Later, I started voice chatting with friends. We sent voice messages on apps. I listened, thought, and replied. It felt natural and fun. Sometimes I chatted for a long time. I didn't even notice the time passing. I was enjoying English, not fearing it. And that made all the difference. Talking with others showed me my weak spots. When I didn't understand, I asked questions. Can you say that again? Or what does that mean? I learned how to ask for help. That gave me more confidence. I stopped being afraid of not knowing. I also picked up useful phrases. Like, it depends, or, that's a good point. These weren't from textbooks. They were from real conversations. The more I spoke, the more fluent I became. My words started to flow naturally. I still make funny mistakes sometimes. Like, saying I am boring instead of I am bored. We all laughed together and I learned from it. I never made that mistake again. Speaking with people gives me energy. It reminds me why I started. I wanted to connect with the world. And now, I am. To every learner, don't be afraid. Just take one small step today. Say hello, ask a question, join a group. Real progress starts with real people. Real conversations build your real English. And that's the key to fluency. Chapter 12. Confidence is a skill. When I started learning English, I thought something wrong. I thought only special people could be confident. But that wasn't true. Confidence is not a gift. It's a skill, and that means anyone can grow it. Even someone shy like me. At first, I was scared to speak English. I didn't like my voice and I was afraid of making mistakes. So I stayed quiet. I waited for the day I would feel ready, but that day never came. One day, I read something simple but strong. You don't become confident and then speak. You speak and then become confident. That sentence opened my eyes. I learned that action makes confidence. So I started small. I said one sentence in class and sent a short voice message. I joined group chats and said hello. Each small try made me braver. Yes, I was still nervous. But I spoke anyway. And little by little, my fear got smaller. I also felt more confident when I prepared. Before a talk, I practiced in front of a mirror. I said hi, how are you? Many times. Like training for a race, I trained to speak. Another thing helped me too. Changing my thoughts. Before, I said my English is bad. Now, I say my English is getting better. That small change made me feel proud. I stopped being hard on myself. I started to cheer for myself. I also stopped waiting to be perfect. Even native speakers make mistakes. They say and forget words too. So I don't feel bad anymore. I just focus on learning and growing. Confidence is not perfect English. It is showing your heart with your voice. So please, don't wait. Try a little today and then try again tomorrow. Prepare, practice, and be kind to yourself. One day, you will feel it. That warm feeling inside you. That is your confidence and it is growing every day. Chapter 13. The Final Breakthrough. One day, something amazing happened to me. I was reading a short English article at a cafe. Then a tourist walked in, looking confused. He asked the waiter something, but the waiter didn't understand. I stood up and said, "Excuse me, maybe I can help." I spoke with the tourist in English and I gave him directions. We even laughed together. After he left, I sat down and smiled. That was my final breakthrough. At that moment, I felt no fear. I had spoken English without overthinking. I didn't plan my words. I wasn't nervous. I just helped someone, using only English. That moment came after many small steps. I had studied, practiced, and made many mistakes. I joined speaking groups and learned new words. Slowly, I built my confidence. And then, it all came together. That day, my English felt natural. After that, I began to speak more freely. I stopped trying to be perfect. I focused on sharing my thoughts. My grammar wasn't always correct, but I could speak. I could understand others and I could help someone. That, to me, was success. Every week, I tried something new in English. I wrote short diary entries. I watched English news. I read small storybooks. Later, I watched English videos without subtitles. I understood the meaning, not just the words. I started to laugh at jokes in English. I wasn't just learning the language. I was living the language. Even my thinking changed. I didn't need to translate anymore. The English words just came. They were simple, but they were mine. It felt like magic, but it was not magic. It was the result of effort. My breakthrough wasn't about sounding perfect. It was about being me, in English. I could talk about my life and dreams. People could understand me. I wasn't just an English learner anymore. I had become a user of English. This part of my journey made me proud. If you're learning English, remember this. Your final breakthrough will come too. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will come. Every word you learn brings you closer. Every video you watch helps. Even your mistakes are part of the journey. Keep going. Your breakthrough is waiting for you. Thank you for walking with me on this journey. If my story gave you even a little hope or courage, then it was worth sharing. This may be the end of the story, but it's the beginning of something greater, for you and for me.